Hey there everyone, Matt here, and welcome to video number 3 in this 3-part series where we're going to talk about some strategies you can use to help kind of combat and reduce intrusive thoughts. So in video number 1, and if you haven't watched the first 2 videos, please go back and watch them because they kind of build on each other. But in video number 1, to quickly recap, we talked about how having intrusive thoughts isn't actually the problem, right? It's how we react to those thoughts that's actually the problem. And in video number 2, what I did is I kind of talked about why when we try to suppress and get rid of or block or replace intrusive thoughts, it actually makes them worse. And I talked about some studies that actually show this ironic process that happens and why that happens in the mind. But in this video, what I want to do is just talk about 2 simple strategies that I use personally and that I teach to my clients on how to reduce intrusive thoughts and kind of break yourself out of that loop when you're kind of caught in that intrusive thought loop of these thoughts popping up again and again and again. Okay, and so strategy number 1 is and these are both very, very simple things that you can do 100% free. And so strategy number 1 is the idea of journaling, right? And so oftentimes what happens is we get caught up in our head and we just stay up there. Right? And so we start running with the thoughts and we argue with them, and then we say, well, why did I have that thought? And then we start arguing on that and we ruminate on the thought. Well, what does that mean? And okay, well, now in 10 years this is going to mean this, and we create these elaborate stories off of just this one intrusive thought that popped up in our head, right? And so one of the best strategies I've had for my life, is just this concept of journaling, right? And what I do is I have a little section in the journal. I generally write some things that I'm grateful for, and then I'll do simple things like writing out my fears or whatever. And then I'll have a section of the journal where I just write down just kind of like a brain dump, so to speak, where I just write down anything that's going on in my head. Right? Now, on this journal, it doesn't need to be anything you show anyone or anything like that. In fact, you can write this down on just a regular piece of paper, tear it up and throw it away. But the idea is to really get what's going on in here and then get it out on a piece of paper, right? Because if you stay up in here, nothing good happens. I've yet to meet someone who struggles with OCD or intrusive thoughts and was like, after years of obsessing, I finally figured it all out. It just doesn't happen, right? But once you're able to actually get that stuff onto paper, you can start to see it for what it is often. You can start to kind of see thoughts of like, oh, it's just some crazy thought, right? And you can start to detach from it, right? Create some space in between yourself and your thoughts. And I know that's like this radical concept to people sometimes, but the reality is that you are not your thoughts, right? Your thoughts are something that you experience. And there's this term in psychology called cognitive diffusion, right? And the opposite term is cognitive fusion, right? And so in cognitive fusion, what's happening is basically you're merging yourself with your thoughts, right? You believe that because you think something, that it's reality. So, but we know logically that that's simply not true. Like I can think as hard as I want that I'm going to win the lottery tonight, but that's not going to make me any more likely to win the lottery. All right, it's just a thought that I have, right? And whereas with cognitive diffusion, what we're doing is we're actually kind of putting a space in between us and our thoughts and emotions, right? As to something that we're experiencing, right? They're not us, they're something that we're experiencing. And so with cognitive diffusion, we start seeing that, our thoughts just kind of pass. They come and go. They pop up randomly. They're good, they're bad, they're indifferent, right? We have thousands of thoughts every day. And the point is that when we start journaling, what happens is that we start seeing thoughts for what they are. They're just something that we experience, right? And so the more and more you can do that every day, right? A daily practice of just journaling, right? And just getting stuff on paper and getting out of your head and onto paper, what you're going to see is you're going to start to experience a detachment from those thoughts, right? They're not going to seem as intense or as real or as, as threatening as they might if you just stayed in your head and kept trying to analyze and ruminate and suppress and do all the things that just make them worse. Okay, so again, it's a very simple exercise. You're just writing out the stuff in your head. And then once it's there, write out all the thoughts. And if a certain thought bothers you, you can write out that same thought again and again and again and again and again until you start to see it for what it is, just a regular thought. And then again, you don't need to show them to anyone. You can take it, turn it up, and throw it away, or you can keep it in your private journal. Totally up to you. The second strategy that I want to talk about is meditation. Now, oftentimes with intrusive thoughts, they're always taking us either into the past or into the future, right? Intrusive thoughts are rarely ever about the current moment that we're in, right? And so there's a very popular term called mindfulness, and I'm a big preacher of it, and I work a lot with my clients on this concept of mindfulness and meditation. And mindfulness is this idea of being totally present in this moment right now. And so anytime your mind tries to take you into the future or into the past, it's about bringing yourself back to this moment. And one of the best ways that I've learned to practice mindfulness in my own life is through meditation. Now, mindfulness is a moment-by-moment thing, but I've learned and I've become better at being mindful through practicing meditation. Now, meditation doesn't mean that you have to sit in like a lotus position in a meadow for an hour a day, right? My meditation practice is very simple. I just sit at a chair at my kitchen table, right? And I just have a guided meditations that I listen to, right? And that's what I practice. And what you're doing basically in meditation is you're not trying to stop your thoughts. That's one of the biggest myths and where people go wrong with meditation is they try to stop their thoughts, right? They think that meditation is just about not experiencing thoughts and just having a blank mind. But at least in my experience and pretty much everyone else that I've talked to, that's not the purpose of meditation, right? The purpose of meditation is just to become aware of your thoughts, right? And to see when they're happening and to notice them pop up and go, and to more importantly, to learn to not react to them, right? To not get sucked off into the past or future, and to bring yourself back to this moment, right? And one of the techniques that you use often in meditation is this idea of mindful breathing, where you're actually focusing on each breath as it goes in and as it goes out. All right, and so I know that's a super quick introduction to both mindfulness and meditation, and I'll probably make some more videos about that in the future. But so that kind of concludes this series on intrusive thoughts, where we talk about this idea of these two strategies of just journaling, right? That brain dump where you just dump everything out onto paper that's in your head, and using meditation and mindfulness to kind of stay in this moment and to not get sucked off into the past or future. Now, what I actually have is some resources for you that, some great meditation resources, as well as, identifying compulsive behaviors, a whole bunch of free stuff that I have put together for you guys if you're struggling with intrusive thoughts. All you need to do is just click the link below this video and you'll be taken over to my website where you can actually download them for free. So again, click the link below this video, head over to that site, download those free resources, because I really do think that they're going to help you out a lot. And again, thank you for watching this training series, and I will see you over on the next video.